All right, we're ready. Okay. Those of you showing up late, I was late too. I tried to get here at 9, so I have to set up and get the space ready. So my apologies for that. Today we're going to talk about yoga being a dance, and it's a dance between control and letting go. And it can be a difficult dance at times. But when we learn how to perform that dance on the mat, it'll be much easier to know when to lean into one or the other when we're facing things in life. So if we look at the basic yogic philosophy, which is the 8 path of yoga, and this is just the basic philosophy with the yamas and the niyamas, it's like a moral ethical code in which to follow and adhere to so that you are creating a happier and healthier life for yourself. But even more so than that, it's about not causing harm to yourself or anyone else. And so when you study that, it's about developing self-control. And it's developing self-control over our thoughts, our words, our actions, so that we're micromanaging ourselves. But so often as humans, we think we need to control other people. We feel like we have somewhat control of an outcome or an expectation or a behavior of someone else, right? Like our children. And then we learn pretty quickly, we can't control that because everyone has to be responsible for themselves. And we can't control everything happening in our environment either. We can't control the weather. We can't control big decisions that are made by the government, right? I mean, there's only so much in our control. And so because of that, we have to learn the art of letting go and knowing when we need to relinquish control. And remembering that we need to give other people freedom to make their choices. And then they have to, deal with those choices. So I'll give you an example to show my humanness, but also to bring this into play as far as life is concerned. I'm the youngest of 4. My sisters obviously started having babies before I did, because 2 of them are much older than myself. But my child there's 8 grandchildren, so he's 6 in line, right? So he's kind of down the totem pole. And I do know and recognize, even as an aunt, the first grandchild that's born, it's always good. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, I think all the aunts and the uncles, and not just the grandparents, would agree to that because it's the first one. That first baby is born, it brings the family unit back together, and there's something just so magical about it. And then there's this bond that's created. And then as more children come along, that bond maybe not be as strong for whatever reason. And I do know I live another state away, but my son's getting ready to graduate high school. And all the other cousins who have graduated, we all showed up for the graduation. Every aunt, every brother-in-law, every cousin, and of course my grandparents too. But there's been some shifts and changes the last few years, right? My dad is stroked, he's in a wheelchair, they do travel, but they don't travel that far. And so I already knew, okay, my parents they're not gonna be, and that's all right. I get it. But to discover none of the brother-in-laws are coming, none of the cousins are coming, it's only my 3 sisters coming. It was kind of a blow, probably more to me than my son, right? And I've been dealing with being hurt and feeling like, well, why can't you prioritize it? I prioritize it for all the others, right? And then I was exchanging this frustration with my boyfriend the other night. And he's a Libra, so he's very much about the justice scales, right? He sees everything in balance, which can be a good thing for me because I'm an Aries and I'm all fire. And he sat me down and he was like, maybe you're looking at it the wrong way. He said, you got to remember, most people don't travel that far from home. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. And they even go to the same vacation place year after year. They never change it up. And he said, see, they're normal and you're not normal. This is the way he said it to me. And I know I have wanderlust, and I know I've been like a gypsy at heart practically my whole life, except for the time I owned Half Moon. When I owned Half Moon, I was very stable, right? But now, since I don't have that business and I don't have that physical location, I can travel again, and it's back in my system again. And, it was just an enlightening moment because the way he presented it to me, I was like, oh, he's an outsider looking in, and he's got the ergo viewpoint that I can't see because I'm right in the mix of it. And now I'm feeling disappointed and hurt and a little rejected because I'm not feeling like they're putting my child important enough, right? So it made me realize I am not in control of this. I have to let it go. And that may seem like a silly example to you, but there's lots of things that come up in life like that. How can we relinquish control, not get our feelings hurt? And then also, where can we develop control? So there's the dance. So we're going to do active yoga. Active yoga, you want some control because you're giving instruction on how to align your body and what to do with your body. So in an active class like this, you're listening to the instruction and you're trying to apply it all. You're trying to put the action into it. That's developing the control over your body. When we're in meditation and you're using your breath work or using a certain technique, that's maintaining that sense of control so that eventually, even with your meditation, you can finally relinquish the control, release the technique. You used it to get to a certain place. And then once you absorb into that place of ecstasy and bliss or peace or just nothingness, it's just pure positive existence, pure positive potentiality, then you let go. Even when we're practicing pratyahara, we're trying to hone in on the senses, then withdraw from the senses to transcend the senses. So control, 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 let go. And then when you're in the yin positions and when you're in restorative positions, it's about totally letting go physically, softening the muscles, dropping to gravity, just being, not doing, not thinking alignment, not muscular control. But yet there's still some control because you're still using your breath and you're still making sure that your mind's not ricocheting out of the present moment. See the dance? Constant dance between control and letting go. So let's put that dance into play. Let's come to a comfortable seat. And sitting tall with our hands resting down on the lap. Closing the eye. And so often through our days, the breath is running automatically. We typically don't even have to think to breathe, but this is part of our training. Start to develop some self-control over the breath. Remembering the reason why we develop self-control over the breath is so that we can start to control and manage our own mind, nervous system. So that we can respond in a calm, clear manner instead of reacting restlessly. So improve the quality of your breath here. Deepening both the inhale and the exhale. feeding yourself this important life force energy. Especially since we're feeling that energy from the new moon yesterday. Let's take 3 more deep breaths. And then bring your hands to prayer position at your heart. Bow your head humbly. I created the collective intention for today's practice with the theme, but maybe you have a different reason for being here today. So I'm going to give you a moment of silence here just to set your intention. Perhaps even dedicating this practice to yourself or another. And then crack the eyelids open. We'll remove the hands from the heart. We can slide the bolster away and we're going to come right on up to stand. I smile every time I start standing because I'll never forget the meme that was created a few years ago, and it was this baby crying, and it said at the top, when the teacher says, let's start standing. So let's spread the toes, root down through the soles of the feet, lock up your legs, right? So as you spread your toes and push down through the soles of the feet, you're going to feel your calf muscles contract and engage. Your kneecaps start to lift. Your quads get much firmer, and you even get a little firmer in the buttocks. And then you zip up through your midriff. You allow the sternum to lift with your hands together at your heart and your shoulders to drop. Now already there's a lot of work here, and you had to develop that skeletal alignment, that muscular control. As you inhale, sweep the arms to your sides and up overhead. And really reach up through your side waist, open up your side ribs, continue up through the outseam of the shoulders and fingertips, and then go ahead and bring the palms together perhaps, and allow your eyes to gaze up towards your hands into Hasta Drishti. If there is any pain or strain with this is where you need to let that go, okay? So the hands can separate and your chin can spill back down. So that's personal preference as well as what you're experiencing. As you exhale, bring your hands down the midline. You're attempting to keep the legs the exact same. So notice when you started to tumble forward, did you lose the skeletal alignment? Did you lose the muscular activity? And maybe it's required for you. So there are instances where you may need to bend the knees. Inhale, come halfway up, slide your hands up your leg bones, lengthen out through the spine, look out with your eyes. As you exhale, pour back down, inhale, step back fully. And in plank, are your shoulders, elbows, wrists aligned? That's the skeletal alignment here. If the fingers are splayed, really push down through the mounds of the hands. When you push down through the mounds of the hands properly, you're going to feel your upper back muscles really firm up. You're going to fill in that gap between your shoulder blades. At the same time, you're kicking your thighs up towards the sky, pressing ever so lightly through your heels, driving forward with your heart. Now rock forward, lower down to chaturanga, elbows squeeze, squeeze, squeeze in as you hover. Inhale, glide through and up. Pause here in upward facing dog. Are your heels turning out? Maybe you need to roll them in. Are you really pushing down through your palms? Are you lifting your pelvis off the floor? Are your shoulders poking forward? Or can you really spread open through your collarbones? Curl your toes, pull in through your navel, fold back over your feet to downward facing dog. Here in this asana, think about how downward facing dog has become such a familiar pose. Something we do often, especially in a flow type class, but are you really pushing down to the index fingers and thumbs? Are you really lifting up and out through your wrists? Are you extending your arms and straightening your elbows as much as you can? Can you roll your shoulders open away from your ears? Is it possible to feel like you're wearing a corset, right? So your belly's hugging in, your midriff is nice and tight, your sits bones are soaring up, up, up and away, your thighs rolling in and powering back, right? There is action here, there's control here. And at the same time, we're trying to control the breath. On your next inhale, let's look forward towards the hands. Take a giant step forward, bringing the feet more together at the top of the mat, lifting your hands up your legs, creating some space here. Shoulders pulling back from the ears. Exhale, drop in. Next inhale, sweep the arms to your sides and up. Yogi's choice, determining what is better for you. Urdhva Hastasana, or is it possible to move into that upward worship today? And then bring your hands back home to your heart. All right, that was a little bit more detailed with instruction. Inhale, bring your arms up. Urdhva Hastasana or upward worship. Exhale, fold. Uttanasana. Now, can you hear my words without me saying all that again? Can you keep applying the action? Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, release, but not completely letting go. It's not in. Inhale, step back, plank. Exhale, rock forward, lower down, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, drives through and up. Urdhva Mukha. Maybe open your throat. Exhale, rock and roll back, downward facing dog. So as I was saying those little instructions earlier on cueing the body, did it feel different or the same as it does now? Maybe kind of go through in your mind from your hands up to your hips and from your hips down to your feet. What can you implement here? Through control, through action, through discipline. Next inhale, let's bring the feet together at the top of the mat. Lift halfway up on arrival. Exhale, bow forward and down. Inhale all the way up. Gather what you need. And then feel as though you're dropping that right down into your heart space. Good, we're gonna move on to B. So as you inhale, sweep the arms to your sides and up, and you're sitting down and back with your hips. In other words, you don't want the tailbone tucking here. It's like your booty's moving back a little bit. You just don't want to get sway back. Now, all your weight may be aligning in your heels, and if that's the case, sprout up through your side body again, up through your side traps. And notice how the weight starts to shift forward into your toes. Good, exhale, bow forward and down, Uttanasana. In and sprout up, halfway or arch up, yogi's choice. Exhale, lower down and in. Inhale, let's take plank. Exhale, lower down and hover. Inhale, open the heart up. Exhale, use your core, not just your limbs, to transition to this inversion. All right, now look at the space between your big toes. When we were going through the Sarga Namaskaras, it didn't really matter about the width of the feet, but we're going to be lifting a leg up in a moment. So you want the feet to be a little closer together, maybe just a few inches between the big toes. We're going to lift the right leg halfway up, keeping the hips square, the shoulders level and even with each other, and swing the right foot forward and up between your hands. Offset the left foot, ground it down, and lift to warrior one. Now, when you come up to warrior one, keep that front knee lunging over the front ankle and drive the outer left hip and thigh around towards the front. If you feel like you're leaning forward, back your head up over your shoulders align over the pelvis. Good, exhale, hands down to the floor. Spin away from the back heel. Wiggle the left toes back. And then come down to your left knee. Take your right leg back to plant on the back edge of your sticky mat. And reach that right arm up. Good. So if you feel like that left knee is not really underneath your left hip, go ahead and rearrange it. You can even slightly back your left foot onto the wood floor, but anchor down through your left limbs. Fly high through your right hand, push down through your right foot. And notice when you press down through the right foot, what changes up through the straight leg. This is a modified form of Vasisthasana named after famous yogic sage. All right, let's bring the right hand down, step back plank. When you're ready, move through that vinyasa. We'll meet in downward facing dog. And then we need to set up the feet properly because we're moving to the second side. Let's inhale, lift the left leg halfway up, Ekapada Adho Mukha Svanasana. Swing that foot forward and up between your hands. You got it. Offset your right foot, round it. Arms overhead. Now, I mentioned on the previous side that back leg and hip rolls to the front, but the front thigh is also an equally rolling open. All right. Palms can turn to face each other. Exhale, hands down. Spin off the back heel, wiggle the toes back. Drop the right knee. Good. Send your left foot back. You can offset your right foot, kind of angle it behind you, and take the left arm skyward. Apply the pressure through your back foot. Fan the hands wide open. Find a gaze to set your eyes, which will help promote better concentration. Affirming here as you hold, as I move through life, I choose to stay anchored in myself, knowing that I only can control myself. Let's bring the left hand down, step your right foot back. One more vinyasa. Once you teeter back to your downward facing dog. The reason why we hug in the belly here, we imagine we have that corset on, so we're not getting ribbedy, so we're not getting into a back bend. On your next in-breath, look forward towards your hands. You can hop the feet forward or take a giant step forward, lifting halfway up. Exhale, bow over and down. Let your head drape. And let this replenish the skin of the face. Inhale, bend your knees, lift your arms up, Utkatasana. Good, exhale, hands to prayer. All right, we're gonna do 2 more sun cells. Inhale, taking it to B. We're gonna be building up with those positions. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, look out. Beautiful. Exhale, humbly bow. Inhale to your plank. And remember, anytime we're supporting our weight, like poses like this, we're helping to build strength in our bones. Rock forward, lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, glide through and up. Exhale, roll it on back. All right, the positioning of the feet is important since we're going to be lifting a leg. I'm giving you that chance here to realign if need be. Inhale, lift the right leg. Exhale, bring it forward and up between the hands. We're sticking with warrior 1. So set up your back foot. Align your upper body, but just see if it was possible for you to do exalted warrior earlier, or not exalted warrior, but upward worship earlier. See if you can do exalted warrior here. It's the same principle of lifting the arms overhead, palms joined together, hasta drishti. Exhale, hands release. Wiggle the back toes back. Sink the left knee, offset that foot, but this time that right leg's gonna shoot back, right arm up overhead. Now look at your right leg. Is it possible to line it up with your hip? Can you press out through your heel? Can you also press through the ball of the foot with the toes spread? Feel the action, the power that comes in. Beautiful breath. Keep it rolling. When you're ready, safely come down. Reposition plank. Take the next vinyasa. Once you arrive in downward facing dog, we'll lift the left leg. We'll step it through. We'll come up to warrior one. And instead of going with the power of suggestion, really focus on what are you feeling in your back body? What are you feeling in your shoulders and neck? Is this really the best thing for you today? And if it's not, listen to that guidance. Always give yourself permission to let go when need be. Exhale, hands down. Spin off that back heel. Lower the back knee, offset that foot as you take the left leg back. Left arm up. Finding your balance. Engaging your focus. Managing not only your body mechanics, but your breath. As I move through life, I stay anchored in myself. Bring yourself down. Breathe. Commit, plank. Take it forward, drop it low, build it up, and invert. Next inhalation, let's gather the feet at the top of the mat. Create some space initially, and then close the gap. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, hands to heart. All right, we got one more. Flow anyway. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, lengthen out. Exhale, close the gap. Inhale to your plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Okay, hold on. Come back. A little lesson for chaturanga. I happened to look up and two people were leaving something out, okay? So this is important. When you're in plank, it's not this. If you do this, your shoulders are going to give out. We have to go forward and down. So that's what I mean by rock forward, then come down. See the difference? Okay, let's try that again. And it could just be that you're tired. Plank, but it is really important. We got to protect our shoulders, especially as ladies. Rock forward, then lower down. Inhale, shoot it up. Exhale, roll it. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, swing it through. We're starting the same way as before you're one, except we're going to create the mudra above, shoulders lifting, arms hugging the head. Now, lean forward just a bit. We're not hovering over the front thigh. We're creating a diagonal line from the back heel to the fingertips. But we're going to move into walking stick, which is a balancing pose, which means we will tip forward. We will lift the back foot, stacking stand on the right. Lift the fingertips, bend the front knee so you can tiptoe the back foot to the floor. Hands down, right leg back, stacking on the left ankle, full side plank, unless you need to cross the right foot over. All right, can we come down a minute? Can we drop the knees and just sit back a second? Because I want to warn the ladies of something. Sorry, guys, but this is important. Side plank. If this is difficult to stack, my suggestion for the ladies would be foot stepping over, right? Because we don't want the hip to drag. So if your hip is dragging, stepping that foot over, pushing that foot down, lifts the hips. And it's not that you're doing it wrong, because I've instructed it this way too. If you set your foot over like that, what should you be doing with that foot if that foot crosses over and it's a straight leg? If it's flat, you should be actively pushing it down. Now, I'm here to give the ladies a warning about that, because I saw several of you do it and it looked like you were fine. But I've had a personal experience when I crossed that foot over. If you apply the right application of hurting the foot, there is a singe of a muscle within the vaginal walls that can hurt. It can start to contract and bunch up. So I don't like that for women. Now here I'm just resting, I'm not doing anything. Here I feel nothing. But if I were to apply that, so that's why I personally think for women, this bend of the knee is much better. Okay, so on the next go round, try it that way and see how it works for you. Okay, because either way you got to foot down. All right, now like let's roll vinyasa. Coming into the inversion, now we've got that left leg next, so let's lift it up on the in-breath. Let's swing it through on the out-breath. Let's set up the back foot. Take your time. Virabhadrasana. And maybe start to create that mudra, the lock of the arms to the head. Hinge forward a slight degree. Lean forward more to transition walking stick. In walking stick, I tend to point the back foot versus flexing the ankle. You can do either. Lift the hands, bend the front knee, tiptoe the right foot to the floor, and let go. You got it. Now, when you're ready, left leg stacking, Or hop that left foot over. Push that foot down and elevate your hips. Find your strength. You are a powerhouse. Bring your hands back down. Last vinyasa. Thank God, right? Vinyasa as far as these 7,000 are concerned. Now let's bring those feet together at the top of the mat. We'll close it out by lifting up halfway. Releasing the head and heart. Inhaling to chair. And then hands to prayer. Okay, we're gonna lodge the left foot down, 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 down. We shift our weight. And I want you to notice when you pick up your right knee and cross your left hand over to catch it, you're already starting to twist the low band here. Now take the right arm behind your back. And if you want to include your neck, turn your head to the right. Lodge the right foot down. Stabilize that leg. For now, just take hold of the left knee. Feel that little twist already entering in. Left arm behind you. You don't have to turn your head, but maybe you want your challenge. Okay. Step back with your left foot. Now, take your hands to your hips. And you're going to slowly turn to your left, but notice, don't like fast turn, but notice when you start to turn your upper body, doesn't it feel a little weird here in that back knee? So turn your foot, yeah, this way. Awesome. Now, the knee should feel better, right? Okay. So once you have that foot placement, the knee feeling better, you're going to drop your right, the webbing in between your thumb and index finger. You're going to drop it into that hip crease at your upper thigh and lift up through the vertebrae. And then you're going to push your hand into the upper hip crease. And you're going to lean out over the front leg. Yes. Now, as you're leaning, you're also stacking your shoulders. Yes. This is great. And then try to balance your neck in line with the rest of your spine. Now just allow the left hand to fall, not trying to reach anywhere else, and carry the left arm up. And if for whatever reason, that left shoulder, if it causes any pain, strain, giving you grief or whatever, it shouldn't be up in the air. And this is where you need to micromanage yourself and go, okay, that doesn't feel good. Bring it back to the hip, no problem. All right, now turn your head to look at your right foot. Lunge that knee, stand on the left palm, spin off your back heel, take the right arm overhead. Now the same principle applies here. What if your right shoulder is the issue? What if it is giving you grief? What if there's some pain or strain here? Then you're going to stack your right hand on the knee. We're all going to do it, okay? Stack your right hand on your knee and then push into that leg. And notice how you can clock
and twirl a little bit more through your chest and shoulders. But yet it's not aggravating the shoulder at the same time, right? Beautiful. All right. Now come out of that rotation, step the back foot forward, fold in. Bend your knee deep, 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 deep. Scoop in through the belly. Roll it up one vertebra at a time. Keep piercing the navel in, keep piercing the navel in. That'll keep your low back safe as you come to Tadasana. All right. Right foot back. Hands to the hips or waist. And then as you start to turn slowly, 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 when you feel that catch in your back knee, just turn your foot and alleviate that sensation. Good. Pick up your sternum, slip the webbing of the hand into that left hip crease, and then push back through your hips. Press into that thigh bone with your hands, and keep leaning out, leaning out, leaning out, straight back, straight back, straight back. And when you find you're at your edge of your flexibility, your inner thigh will tell you, then just drop that left hand, ever it naturally falls. And then continue to carry that right arm up. And again, checking in with the shoulder. Does it need to even be here? Or would it feel best on the right knee? I love it. I love seeing variety in the room. Trikonasana. Is your leg giving out?
Lower back.
Lower back. All right, we're about to get out. Turn your gaze down towards your left foot. Lunge that knee. Bring your right hand down and take your left arm over. And then going between these two poses and transitioning this way, you may notice through your self-study, what am I holding in this or the other shoulder? Why do I have more rotation going this direction and I'm lacking in the other direction? Good. Bring that hand onto your thigh and then continue the twist. You got it. Exhale, unwind from that. Back foot springs forward, except we're going to elevate the heels. We're bringing it back down, you guys. If your knees can't handle this flexion, I totally get it. Come on down. Instead of coming all the way up to toe balance, we're going to take the hands kind of back alongside the heels, if you can reach that. And of course, it depends, what's in between your upper body and your lower body too. Like that doesn't work for all bodies. You can lean back into your thumbs. You can try to take the weight off your legs. And sit down. You laugh, but you could do it.
I don't know this.
Oh, you maybe with blocks.
No, that's all I can.
Can you do?
Not in standing.
Okay. Because this would take the rift out, and you could do this with blocks. I'm just saying, men have the advantage of power, and you're going to surprise yourself.
Yeah.
Every day.
Bend your right knee.
Surprising.
Let there be some separation here. Lengthen your right arm and shoot it through on the inside of that knee, and then you're turning your hand and trying to bind it in front of the thigh. And then notice how this one does all kinds of funky things. Turn your toes back up, knee up, reach the left arm forward and out, swim it behind your back. Now, you may not be able to get your hands close at all. Totally fine, you're in the pose. This is it. If you can reach your hands but not quite clasp, you may be able to loop the index finger. You might be able to use a towel in between, or maybe grip your hands. Either way, we are trying to pull the heart forward to the foot. And then once you pull that heart forward so you're not just rounding or slouching, then you try to hinge from your hip, so it's a different action. Now I'm going to show you from the back side here. I'm going to take my hands apart so you can see it can be done with one arm. We're going to lift and try to bring the right foot width. Awesome. Now catch it, bring it to the straight leg, and then lift the arms up overhead. Somehow I found some tape on my pants there. Arms overhead. All right, now notice where's your navel facing? Most likely on the inside of that leg. So turn it slightly and reach out and just release the hands to the floor. So it's better to be here, the active way, versus here. Here, I'm dumping my back. I feel no hamstring stretch at all. And this could strain the back because I'm not even engaging the core. So here, you engage the core, you straighten out the back. And it's better to be here so that you feel it everywhere. And then if you have more flexibility, walk it out, close it down. Janu Shirshasana. And inhaling. Right, so right knee, straighten out that leg. Bend your left, create some space between the two. Left arm reaches forward and out. Spin the hands. Walk it around. And again, that right leg's gonna wanna get funky. So line it up. Reach the right arm, circle it behind your back to see what is possible today. Do you want some help? Yeah. I can't. Sometimes we do that with stats. Heart reaching out and then attempting to drop. Then coming up and see how you start to rest on both sides of your seat. Flex and float that foot in midair. And then release your bind, foot to the inner thigh, arms overhead. Instead of facing straight ahead, you're slightly turning towards that right knee. And then hinging down. Very small, pivotal twist in the midst of that. So, Renee, instead of lifting your foot for today,
I get stretch unless I do. I won't be able to.
and no, just
Okay.
just hear me out.
Alright.
Hear me out. Because you were here, here. So drop the foot, turn. Now, since you're so flexible, I would never suggest this for other people, but hold the bottom of the foot, keep it on the floor, and pull, 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 pull. And then don't pull so much with your arms, pull forward with your heart is what I mean. See if your belly can lay down. See if your chest can lay down. And then your head. How's that? Okay.
Yeah.
You get more of the foot, you can lift it up. All right, inhale. Awesome. Lift the knee. Send it out. Oh, I got the other side. All right. So we don't have the chairs in here a lot, and plus we only have 8 chairs here now instead of 20 like we used to. So I wanted to suggest to you guys, if you have difficulty with plow, it is awesome to take the legs back and rest on a chair or a sofa or something like that. So just imagine there's a chair behind me, lifting the hips, and just imagine the seat of the chair.
And then you can relax your arms, and it's a little bit more restorative, and it's not as much tension or traction in the neck. So it's even a little safer. So we're gonna go for Halasana plow. And what's the one most important rule in this pose? Thank you. Yes, please don't turn your head. The owner of the other studio I teach at made the mistake of doing that a couple months ago. And she's been injured and trying to resolve it. So that is the number one most important rule. Your head stays stable. If you want to go for it, pack your hips. Your legs can absolutely hover as if there were something holding you up. Or if you have the flexibility and you want to try to descend the feet, then you can. And slowly start to hike the legs up. Forward shoulder stand. Sometimes it's called candlestick pose. When we transition to this position, we're walking the hands more towards the shoulder blades. The toes are pointed up, the legs are spiraling in. The queen of asanas. And then slide your hands back towards your hips, lower the legs and set them slightly towards your face. Then bring your hands down to the floor, grip your hands, grip your core, and slowly, mindfully roll out one vertebra at a time. And then slowly send the legs all the way down as well. All right, you're gonna pick up your seat and slip your hands up underneath your buttocks or your thighs, depending on the length of your arms. But your elbows are tucking in close. You're staying on your seat and on the palms of your hands. But you're gonna actively push down through your elbows so that your shoulders and your head lift off the floor. Then from here, you puff up through your chest and slowly start to allow the head to spill back. And that is your fish pose. Push through the elbows, lift your chest, lift your chest, lift your chest. Heart, heart. Then when you're ready to exit, you can lift your head. You can gently down. Guess what? We get to let go now. Hug your knees in really quick though. Line up for Shavasana. If you have any prompts you want to utilize, if you have lost sleep due to the time change, you're welcome to use legs up the wall. I want you to take note of something for a moment. That lines up with our theme today. Think about when you first started your yoga journey. It may have felt impossible to go on a vacation to the beach and throw out your mat on the sand and to come up with your own practice, right? Because it was all so new. But the more you've hit the mat, the more you've been instructed by teachers, the more you've learned about your body, you've developed familiarity with the poses, then you may find that you can roll out your mat, deck, or at the beach, and you could actually recall some of these poses. And you might be able to remember the sun salutation, and you could create your own practice because now you're well versed in the yoga asanas. Think about someone who plays an instrument. It takes a while to learn the notes and to see which notes coordinate together. To learn the craft. But then eventually, again, once the instrument's familiar, the notes are remembered, then someone can get on, say, guitar and shred and freestyle. Because they've learned enough, they've been disciplined enough, and now they can let go of the control and they can get creative with it. So see the interplay between discipline and control and the beauty and the art of letting go. What I want you to concentrate on now is finding a technique, using a technique. Your body's relaxed, no need to even control the breath unless you want to do a breathing meditation. You may prefer a mantra meditation or meditating in utter silence when I stop speaking. But either way, the technique is there to be used to maintain control until you arrive. And that arrival is called samadhi. And that arrival is peace, bliss, ecstasy. And you no longer need the technique. Let it go. Practice that now. When you arrive on building up this discipline of our mind and body through this hour together. Stretch the arms overhead. Exhale, hug the knees into the belly and chest. Go over to one side of your body. Come on to take a seat. So you know how sometimes we'll chant Om together at the end? And I usually begin and you chime in and you finish. And it's just the one round. Well, I thought it would be fun to play around with an Om bass. And an Om bass, there's a couple different ways to do an Om bass. One way is to charge at the hands and purposely chant together and to send our healing energy to a certain person or situation. So that could be an Om bath, but this Om bath that I'm speaking of is like a recitation of Om, 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 and just keeping it going, but without listening for my cue. It's just you on your own, you on your own, you on your own, you on your own, you on your own. And we're just oming and oming to as much as our breath can handle. And it's layered, right? So I may be just starting and you're just finishing, and she may be in the middle, and you may be somewhere else. So does that make sense? Okay. So on your comfortable seats, we have our eyes closed. And I'll start, and you can delay your start to create the layers. We'll just keep it going. I'll take a deep breath. Beautiful. We're going to lean forward and we're going to take our hands to the ground in any type of seated position. We're just kind of filling up the room and the space with those ohms, but now I want us to be a little bit more deliberate. And I want us to send these ohms, these vibrations, this healing energy back down towards the earth itself. Because she's a rumbling, okay? Om represents the universal vibration, or universal sound. Yogis believe in the beginning was the word, and that word was Om. Om being the root word for Amen, which means, and so it is, and let it be so. Let's bring our hands together to Anjali Mudra. May we continue to learn and to observe the dance between control and letting go. It's a delicate dance.
Stay.
Today. I hope you had a good practice. Enjoy your spring break if that's a thing for you. And there's a lot of workshops here this month. There's a SOAS workshop. There's a intuitive person coming. There's a sound bath and a yin yoga nidra with Elaine, I believe, this Saturday as well.